Welcome to the Dankest Dungeon. Today I'm going to build a Space Marine land behemoth. So this is an idea that I've had bouncing around in my head for quite a while now. It all started when the absolutely overpowered 8th edition codex for Iron Hands dropped. I'll admit, I'm guilty of jumping on it right when it came out. I had a primarily dreadnought army at the time, so honestly, did I really even have a choice? After getting on board with the Sons of Medusa, I looked into their lore a bit, and one thing that stood out to me was that instead of building regular cities and fortresses on their home planet, they drive around in monstrous structures built atop tank treads called, you guessed it, land behemoths. How cool would it be to build an actual land behemoth for in-game use? I thought to myself. Other projects got in the way. Months passed. Years passed. And I was never able to get around to it. Until now, that is. I want this to be a usable piece of terrain in-game with room for units to climb aboard the behemoth and even fight it out inside the building if they so choose. On top of it being a bomb-diggity piece of terrain, I also plan to use it as a centerpiece for displaying my army at tournaments. First things first, I need to apply the thoughts bouncing around in my head to paper. Here's the sketch that I came up with that I'll be loosely referencing as I piece this monstrosity together. So it is time to build. Let's start with the tank treads, shall we? We're definitely going to need some toilet paper rolls. I also have a bunch of this foam floor padding. Let's put it to good use. Also, a Sharpie marker. I'm going to trace the circumference of the ends of the rolls, whip out the scissors, cut the foam down to size, and aren't they beautiful? Oopsie. Be sure to keep all this scrap foam to be used for rubble on a later project. Okay, now I superglue the foam cylinders into the ends of the toilet rolls in order to cap them off and give them more structural rigidity. Now that the cylinders are nice and sturdy, I'm going to adhere them together with strips of cardboard. Making some angled cuts for the cross beams here. Nice. Same thing on the other side, and we are off to a good start. Next, we'll be making the treads themselves. Cut out some thicker, longer cardboard strips, heat up some glue in your gun, and hot glue the strips around the toilet paper rolls. I repeat the process to put 2 strips on each section. I like how they're looking, but these treads look awfully smooth. Time to give them some traction. Let's cut some more cardboard strips, and then cut those strips into tinier strips. Now Elmer's school glue making its first official appearance, I adhere the small strips all the way around the treads with equal space in between each. I decide to add some protective armor plating to protect the sides, so I'm cutting out some small squares here to be used as spacers. I then plop the armor pieces on, and how about a smaller plate for good measure. Next, I'll be building the base and upper building structure. Grab a piece of styrofoam, make sure your X-Acto knife is in good working order, and cut out rectangle blocks to fit. For the walls, I'm hot gluing them together and then adding some extra reinforcement by spearing them with toothpicks. Alright, now for some supports for the upper platform to sit on top of. Just some more styrofoam that will attach to the upper 3 toilet paper rolls of each tread assembly. Then a beam across each of those, making sure these babies are level. Whew. And here's a quick test to see how it'll all fit together. So that's how the top will connect to the bottom, but the 2 bottom pieces also need to attach to one another. I cut some styrofoam beams and keep hot gluing them on until it seems sturdy enough to me. Now I'm going to move on to adding some extra foam pieces to the main structure, a big ol' front bumper, a little back bumper, the triangle parts of the building, don't forget to pick them. Switching back over to the cardboard, I cut out 2 pieces of equal size for the roof and attached them together with some foam triangles. Hey, it's looking like something. Cool. More cardboard strips. Let's add some detail to the armor plates. Oh yeah, and the murder triangles, of course. These little window-looking pieces will be filled with skulls later on. Adding some more detail here by marking the foam and then pushing it into it with this metal tool I had lying around. I'll keep at it with the cardboard all the way around until it looks something like this. I decide that the base needs some more floor space for models to stand on, so I add these foam platforms on each side. Also a good sized balcony on the rear. Then I finish them off with some more cardboard strips. I wanted some riveting along some of the metal beams, but couldn't really find anything obvious to use for this. so I attempted pushing these little metal nail-ish objects into it with the head still showing. It kind of worked, but was a major pain in the butt, so I didn't add quite as many as I had originally planned. Moving on from there, it's time to add some flooring to this house. More cardboard strips, of course, and then some additional thinner strips of poster board inside each square, like so. So I'm looking at this, and the platforms around the outside are great, but it just needs more places for models to stand. Let's add some to the lower metal plating as well. The time has come to work on the building, the fortress, cathedral, living quarters, whatever you want to call it. So I made this little cardboard template to trace some archways on the walls and cut them out. I cut the ornate front window out in 2 pieces of cardboard and then glued it to a piece of poster board. I then cut off the outside edges of the poster board and adhered it to the front of the structure. Now that the mama window's up, time for some baby windows. Once they're all ready to go, apply them like so. With a little help from this friendly bone golem, I trace a circle onto the cardboard, cut it out, cut it in half, cut out the extra, and then piece it back together above the big window. Flying buttress time. I cut these out of foam board. Damn, I need to replace my X-Acto blade. Them is some rough cuts. Taking more of the gray floor padding foam, I cut it into strips. I then cut the strips into smaller bits to be used for stone bricks. I glue them all over the buttresses to hide their rough exterior. Next up will be the shingles. Grab all the mac and cheese and cereal boxes in the house and cut them into small squares. Apply them to the roof with PVA glue. We need more. I said more. Yee. Now that the roof is done, it's time to cover the sides of the structure with foam bricks. Before doing so, I'll mark out where the buttresses will attach. I'm also going to add some additional balconies on the front and back. With that out of the way, it's time to lay some bricks. I start with the entryways and work out from there. Here's what it looks like once it's all covered. I attach it to the base and hot glue the buttresses into place. I made these cannons out of more toilet paper rolls. I think 6 cannons is a good number. Oh yeah, it's all coming together. It is finally time to prime this beast. For this, I'll be using a combination of black acrylic paint and Mod Podge. Shout out to the Black Magic Craft YouTube channel for introducing me to this concoction. Add some of each to a cup, stir it up, and you're good to go. I apply this with a brush all over everything. Now that it's sealed, I'm going to mix up some more, but this time I'm also going to add some sand that I took from the beach last time I was there. I'm going to apply this mixture mainly to the lower portions of the vehicle to add a grainy texture where dust and dirt may have built up over time. Once everything's dry, pull out the trusty paint palette.
Crusty.
Pour some water into our paint cup, and let's get some color up in here. I'm going to start by mixing up some black and white for a light gray color. I dry brush that all over to bring out some highlights and make the details stand out more for me. And then from there, go wild with it. I want to add some banners to the piece, but I need some good places to hang them. These wooden skewer sticks are just what I need. Cut them to fit and paint them black. Here are the banners that I printed up. I simply cut them out and apply with PVA glue. Okay, so these smokestacks on top need some smoke. For that, we'll be using cotton balls. Stack them, glue them, put them in a stew. Paint them black. Need to paint some hazard striping on the front here in case anyone forgets that cannons are dangerous. We are almost there. For some final details, I'll be adding these extra bits I had laying around from past projects, and others that I had 3D printed, like these twin las cannons and these big eagle boys. Once that's all attached and painted up, here's the final result. Overall, I'm fairly happy with how this turned out. I'm not a pro crafter by any means, and there are definitely some things that I would do differently if I was to start over, but I learned a lot and can't wait to plop this down on the tabletop. The roof is removable for some up-close interior firefights, and it's a perfect staging piece that fits with the channel's Space Marine Army's aesthetic. So thanks for watching, and if you like this video or are into Warhammer or Magic the Gathering content, please like, subscribe, and check out our other videos. Until next time, peace.